Section 8C, Reenlistments and Continuation. 8.10, Selective Reenlistment Program. The Selective Reenlistment Program applies to all enlisted personnel by which commanders, directors, and supervisors evaluate first-term, second-term, and career airmen to ensure the Air Force retains those who consistently demonstrate the capability and willingness of maintaining high professional standards. First-term airmen receive selective reenlistment consideration when they are within 15 months of their expiration of term of service. Second-term and career airmen with less than 19 years of total regular Air Force federal military service are considered within 13 months of the original expiration of term of service. Career airmen receive selective reenlistment consideration within 13 months of completing 20 years of total regular Air Force federal military service. Career airmen who have served beyond 20 years of total regular Air Force federal military service receive selective reenlistment consideration each time they are within 13 months of their original expiration of term of service. 8.11 Selective Reenlistment Considerations. Commanders and directors consider enlisted performance report ratings, unfavorable information from any substantiated source, the airman's willingness to comply with Air Force standards, and the airman's ability, or lack thereof, to meet required training and duty performance levels when determining if a member may reenlist. Supervisors should carefully evaluate the airman's duty performance and review the airman's personnel records to include the AF Form 1137 Unfavorable Information File Summary, if applicable, before making a recommendation to unit commanders and directors concerning the airman's career potential. Non-selectee. If an airman is not selected for reenlistment, an AF Form 418 Selective Reenlistment Program Consideration for Airmen in the Regular Air Force Reserve is completed, and the airman is informed of the decision. The commander must make sure the airman understands the right to appeal the decision. The airman has up to 3 calendar days to render an appeal intent. The airman must submit the appeal to the Military Personnel Section within 10 calendar days of the date he or she renders the appeal intent on the form. The commander sends the completed form to the Military Personnel Section after the airman signs and initials the appropriate blocks. Appeal Authority. The specific appeal authority is based on an airman's total regular Air Force federal military service. The appeal authority for first-term airmen and career airmen who will complete at least 20 years of total regular Air Force federal military service on their current expiration of term of service appeal selective reenlistment program, non-selection is the respective group commander. The appeal authority for second-term and career airmen who will complete fewer than 16 years of total regular Air Force federal military service on their current expiration of term of service is the representative wing commander. The appeal authority for second-term and career airmen who will complete at least 16 years of total regular Air Force federal military service, but fewer than 20 years of total regular Air Force federal military service on their current expiration of term of service, is the Secretary of the Air Force. The decision of the appeal authority is final. The appeal authority's decision is documented and the airman is advised of the outcome. 8.12 Career Job Reservation Program. Because of various career force size and composition restrictions, there are times when the Air Force must place a limit on the number of authorized first-term airmen who may reenlist. The Career Job Reservation (CJR) program exists to assist in the management of first-term airmen reenlistments by Air Force Specialty Code (AFSC) to prevent surpluses and shortages. All eligible first-term airmen must have an approved CJR to reenlist. Airmen are automatically placed on the Career Job Applicant List on the first duty day of the month during which they complete 35 months on their current enlistment, 59 months for 6-year enlistees, but no later than the last duty day of the month during which they complete 43 months on their current enlistment, 67 months for 6-year enlistees. To keep their approved CJR, airmen must reenlist on or before the CJR expiration date. When the number of CJR applicants exceeds the number of available quotas, the Air Force Personnel Center must use a rank order process to determine which airmen will receive an approved CJR. Airmen compete for a CJR in their respective initial term of enlistment group, 4-year or 6-year enlistees. Applicants are ranked using the following factors: unfavorable information file, automatic disqualifier, top 3 performance reports, current grade, projected grade, date of rank, and total regular Air Force Federal Military Service date. Applicants are placed on the Air Force-wide Career Job Applicant Waiting List when there are no CJRs available. An airman's position on the waiting list is subject to change as his or her rank order information changes or as new airmen apply. Airmen may remain on the waiting list until their 43rd month on their current enlistment, 67th month for 6-year enlistees. Note, when airmen are placed on the waiting list in their AFSC, they may request a CJR in an additionally awarded Air Force specialty if quotas are readily available and if all criteria are met. Supervisors should encourage airmen to pursue retraining into a shortage skill if a CJR is not immediately available. 8.13 Enlistment Extensions. Airmen serving on a regular Air Force enlistment may request an enlistment extension if he or she has a service-directed retainability reason and the extension is in the best interest of the Air Force. Extensions are granted in whole-month increments. For example, if the individual needs 15.5 months of retainability for an assignment, the individual must request a full 16-month extension. Voluntary extensions for all airmen are limited to a maximum of 48 months per enlistment. In the event that Air Force specialties are constrained, the Air Staff may limit first-term airman extensions to a specified period. Certain situations, such as citizenship pending, may warrant exceptions to policy. Airmen may be eligible to request an extension of enlistment to establish a date of separation at high year of tenure to separate or retire. Normally, airmen must be within 2 years of their high year of tenure before they can extend. Note: once approved, an extension has the legal effect of the enlistment agreement by extending the airman's period of obligated service. Enlistment extensions can only be canceled when the reason for the extension no longer exists, as long as the airman has not already entered into the extension. 8.14 Selective Retention Bonus. The Selective Retention Bonus (SRB) program is a monetary incentive paid to airmen serving in certain selected critical military skills who reenlist for additional obligated service. The bonus is intended to encourage the reenlistment of sufficient numbers of qualified enlisted personnel in military skills with either demonstrated retention shortfalls or high training costs. Airmen in SRB skills who reenlist or extend their enlistment in the regular Air Force for at least 3 years are eligible for an SRB, provided they meet all criteria listed in AFI 36-2606, Reenlistment and Extension of Enlistment in the United States Air Force. Airmen can expect to serve in the SRB specialty for the entire enlistment for which the bonus was paid. SRB designations are established by zones, which are determined by the total regular Air Force Federal Military Service of airmen at the time of reenlistment or the date they enter the extension. Eligible airmen may receive an SRB in each zone, A, B, C, or E, but only one SRB per zone. Zone A applies to airmen reenlisting between 17 months and 6 years. Zone B applies to airmen reenlisting between 6 and 10 years. Zone C applies to airmen reenlisting between 10 and 14 years. Zone E applies to airmen reenlisting between 18 and 20 years. SRBs are calculated using 1 month's base pay multiplied by the number of years reenlisted, multiplied by the SRB multiple as listed on the authorized SRB listing. The maximum SRB per zone is $90,000. Note: the airman's base pay on the date of discharge is used to calculate the SRB. Therefore, if an airman was promoted to Staff Sergeant on 1 May and reenlisted on 1 May, the SRB would be calculated on the base pay of the day prior to the reenlistment as Senior Airman. 8.15 Air Force Retraining Program. Retraining is a force management tool used primarily to balance career fields, officer and enlisted, across all AFSCs and to ensure sustainability of career fields. Retraining also provides a means to return disqualified airmen to a productive status. Although airmen may be selected for involuntary retraining based on Air Force needs, the retraining program allows a limited number of airmen the opportunity to pursue other career paths in the Air Force. The online retraining advisory is a living document found on MyPurse, maintained by the Air Force Personnel Center as a key tool used to advise members of retraining opportunities. For additional information on retraining eligibility and application procedures, refer to AFI 36-2626 Airman Retraining Program. First Term Airman Retraining Program. First-term airmen assigned to the continental United States may apply not earlier than the first duty day of the month during which they complete 35 months of their current enlistment, 59 months for 6-year enlistees, but not later than the last duty day of the 43rd month of their current enlistment, 67 months for 6-year enlistees. First-year airmen assigned outside the continental United States may apply for retraining 9 to 15 months prior to the date they are eligible to return from overseas if serving within their normal first-term window, 35th month for the 4-year enlistees or 59th month for 6-year enlistees. Airmen with an indefinite return from overseas date must complete the original tour length before departing for retraining. On the last day of each month, the Air Force Personnel Center selects the most eligible airmen for retraining based on quality indicators of most recent performance report rating, current grade, projected grade, previous 2 performance report ratings, date of rank, total regular Air Force Federal Military Service date, aptitude qualification examination score, electrical, mechanical, administrative, general, Air Force Enlisted Classification Directory, Part 2, Attachment 4, Additional Qualifications, and requested AFSC preferences. Non-Commissioned Officer Retraining Program. The NCO retraining program is designed to retrain second-term and career airmen from overage Air Force specialties into shortage specialties to optimize the enlisted force and to best meet current and future mission needs. Airmen processing a secondary or additional AFSC in a shortage skill may be returned to the shortage skill if in the best interest of the Air Force. Phases 1 and 2. The NCO retraining program consists of 2 phases. The objective Phase 1 is to obtain volunteer applicants from identified overage AFSCs to fill requirements in shortage specialty codes. All airmen with retraining out objectives may apply for any available specialty codes with retraining in objectives for which they qualify. During Phase 1, if sufficient applications are not received and retraining objectives for the fiscal year are not met, implementation of Phase 2 is necessary. In Phase 2, airmen will be selected for mandatory retraining based on Air Force needs to balance the force. The Master Vulnerability List is used to select airmen for mandatory retraining. 8.16 Officer Crossflow and Reclassification Programs. Tools and procedures are available to address career field manning imbalances and shape the officer force within authorized, funded end strength. The non-rated line cross-flow program addresses manning shortages and overages by conducting a cross-flow panel when needed to select the best qualified officers to fill the required vacancies. The Missiler Cross-Flow Program is a process ensuring the Nuclear and Missile Operations 13N Air Force specialty remains balanced for sustainment by cross-flowing excess officers at the 4-year point back to donor career fields. Out-of-cycle cross-flow requests, as well as initial skills training reclassification, are additional programs to ensure the balance of officer career fields.